I hear some great answers. Yeah. So in number 1, I was just kind of waiting until I heard some of the right answers. I heard the dotted line. That's exactly right. Where were you supposed to go to change the graphing features, aka the features of the graph? Now, some of you guys totally have the new nice light-up screen calculators. You can also change the color. We know, we're all jealous. But for the rest of us, we can change things too besides the color of the lines. What else can we change? The style of the line. Nice terminology. The style of the line, if we go all the way back, I want you guys to go find the one that traces the position without leaving a path behind. I want you guys to try to find the feature that would trace the path without leaving a trail behind. Because maybe you just thought to yourself, the dotted, the bold, whatever, no big deal. The shading, that's kind of cool. Greater than, less than. But what about the one that shows the path without leaving a trail? What did you find? Yeah, it's a little circle without a tail. There's 2. There's a circle with a tail. That one leaves a trail behind it. Above, greater, below. That one would leave a trail. This one just shows the path. Oh, I'm not in Zoom Standard. I apologize. Still not in Zoom Standard. There we go. So maybe some of these features you know, so maybe some of them you don't. This one, the one that doesn't really leave a trail, that's kind of not very purposeful or very useful a lot of the time. But the circle that does leave a trail, I like using that one quite a bit in Pre-Cal at the end of the second semester. And also in Calculus BC, we use that one a lot. So just because you don't really, they're not useful at all. The dotted one, if you have like lots of different graphs, yes, I know, light up screen people, you can use different colors. It's so easy and nice. But for the rest of us, we could do a bold one, we could do a normal one, and we could do a dotted one, and then tell the difference between our different graphs also. So anyway, some of you guys might have actually changed some graphing features, but others of you were like, oh, the line, I'm done. That's why we're going through these really quickly, just to make sure that you got the point, not just the right, oh, I matched my group, but, and some of you didn't even match in your group, but also you figured out the point of the problem. Objective number 2, let's keep going. I started with number 1 because he was so easy, and yet you might have missed the point. Number 2. Okay. If you have a blank graph, you answered the best possible answer. Why? Why would a blank? It didn't fit in the standard window. Now, if some of you were like, wait, I know what they meant. What they meant was to see it wasn't there, and then to zoom out, and then to show the parabola that had been shifted up 13. Okay, good job. That wasn't a bad answer. I wouldn't have taken off points necessarily, but the best answer was a blank window, and what was the point of the problem? Just because there's nothing showing on your grapher, does that mean there's nothing there? No. You're going to have to play with the window and the zoom. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not, and there were other questions that were trying to show you that, right? So technically, you could just have a blank graph. Now, if you had nothing there, that means you just skipped the problem. But if you showed this, you were just being smart alecky, but actually it was the best answer. But if you put the parabola shifted up 13, also good. I think the easiest way on that one would have been zoom out. Is that what you guys did? Oh, doesn't appear in view, wrote it out, that's perfect. Or manually. There you go. Why'd you do negative 2020, Jordan?
Well, I know it's standard to 10, so I didn't even have it.
Oh, that's okay.
I just thought like double out, it might show, and it did. And if it didn't, then I was like 30.
And because you saw the 13s, you were like, doubling should be good. Good. I like manually resetting if it's a function where I can visualize like Jordan was doing in the sense of like, I think this should be good, just to kind of whoosh, whoosh. Wouldn't it be great if we could pinch zoom? Yes, but we can't. Okay, now, is there a cool app you could do on your, is it an app? Desmos? I think it is. It's an actual app. Yeah, you can do it on your iPad, your iPhone, or your Android device. Anyway, that one's great for homework. You can like hit the maximums, hit the minimums, the intersections. Can I let you use devices with internet on tests and quizzes? No! So we have to learn how to use this guy, yeah? And not pay an arm and a leg for some sort of like tablet-y calculator that you could pinch zoom. Your parents don't want to pay more than they already paid for those, believe me. Don't lose them. Real quick, they do go missing every year. So if you're one that just leaves your stuff on tables and then walks away, little middle schoolers are like, whoa, right? They always go missing. They get stolen every year. So please, please, please just be careful with your calculators. Okay, coming back. That's from your parents, but through me. Okay, this guy, what was the point? The point wasn't to read below and find the right answer. That wasn't the point. What was the point? Yeah. You had to play a lot with your Zoom to get this one if you did it by hand. Now, did anybody write down their actual window that they got before realizing that there was like a window you could do? What did you write down?
For like X,
Yeah.
The minimum was -10, the maximum was 15, and then for Y, the minimum was -5.
Okay. And you got it like nice and even numbers?
Yeah.
Did you manually do it?
Yeah, I was guessing,
Okay.
like, I was just trying to see the bottom.
To find him?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to find him, so I was moving by the hundreds.
That makes sense. Because after a while, like, just looking at Zoom standard, you knew something was wrong. You're like, okay. Well, so then you were like, okay, just keep on going. Then eventually 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Good. Good, good, good. And you didn't have to end up going, I think this one went up to 50. You didn't have to end up going up to 50 because this is pretty low. I don't know exactly where that falls. I would guess maybe around 15, 18. If you were using your zoom ins or zoom outs though, your window, if you eventually got something kind of close to that, would have been like 0.999876, something weird. So you wouldn't have, unless you were manually resetting, you wouldn't have gotten these nice numbers. So what I want you guys to think of is, what if you didn't see the answer? How many of you guys saw the answer? It's okay. No judgment. Good. You looked ahead. That's not a bad skill to do, right? But if you were using the zooms, there's no way you would have gotten anything near that nice. You would have had gross decimals, and you would have had to zoom, go over, and move your cursor, do all this weird stuff. Just beware. If you took the easy way and didn't actually play with the zooms and try to get it yourself, just beware. There are going to be some nasty functions, especially on calculator worksheet number 2. With weird big numbers, it's going to be kind of awkward, and you're going to have to play with it, and it's not always going to, zoom fit isn't always going to work. There's a problem about that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Next objective. This one, number 4. I want you guys to actually write in your handout. It can be in pen if you want, because it's kind of like a note. It's not so much like a problem. But you can do it in pencil also. I want you to label what they're talking about when they say x with a bracket -2, 6. It's not an ordered pair. It's an interval. I think you saw intervals at least a little bit last year in Algebra 2. But it's a different way of writing. I want to say, just in English terms, a range of numbers, like from here to here. The problem is in math, doesn't range like specifically just talk about y's and domain is x's. So we use the word interval instead. An interval of numbers. I want you guys to write down what this actually means. Yeah. Well, it is min and max, but I want you to write down in other notation what it's actually saying. It's saying all the x values from -2 to 6. So if you were using inequality notation, that would be how we could write that interval of numbers. So then if I was writing this one, I would do the exact same thing as far as using the min as the left bound, using the max as the right bound. But what's my variable in the middle this time? And then I can use or equal to. We'll talk more about intervals later on this year. If it was just greater than, less than, there would be parentheses. Then it gets really confusing because it looks like an ordered pair. I think the earlier problem, there was like a colon. Sometimes they put colons. Sometimes they can use like a such that line. I don't know if the Algebra 2 book still does set builder notation. I use a little C with a line in it. It's actually a little E. It means is an element of. This is what I'm going to use when we get here later on this year, but it means element of. It's kind of talking about all the y's that are within, all the x's that are within. That's what this little symbol means in math, an element of. But anyway, I'm not going to you guys write intervals now. It's just so that when you see this type of notation in a problem, you know what it's talking about. The x-min, the x-max, the y-min, the y-max. Wait, we've been talking about manually resetting the window. You guys know what we're talking about, right? Hitting the window button, right, and playing with. What does SCL mean? Scale. Nice. And that's, long story short, the tick marks, right? Where the tick marks go by ones or hundreds or fives, etc. Okay, so coming back. What was wrong with zoom standard on this graph? It was a cubic, but it didn't show the maximums and the minimums, right? Wasn't that the main point? There were maximums and minimums. Long story short, it wasn't showing the maximums and minimums if you just graphed it in standard. I want to show you guys another zoom, and I don't remember if the handout actually teaches it to you. So go ahead and put this function in your calculator. Too many zeros. Sorry, using the computer one always messes me up in some way, shape, or form. Does anybody else ever start typing in the exponent and then you get all messed up? Yep. Struggle. Okay. If I'm just in zoom standard, you're like, sweet, it's a cubic. What if the problem on the quiz, ooh, Monday. What if the problem on the quiz says, find the max, find the min? Yeah. So either you think it's impossible or you think, oh, zoom out, right? I just can't see it. Got it. What's the problem? Find the max, find the min. Exactly. The max is supposed to be like a little hill. The min's supposed to be a little valley. It's not there. You need to be able to problem solve and say, whoa, these numbers are tiny, right? If they're tiny, maybe there's a lot of stuff going on in here that I can't tell because this graph is saying, let's fit in all these tons of y values that, to be honest, would take a lot of x's to get. So let me go back to zoom standard. And if I notice before zooming out that there were these really tiny numbers, I paused it. You guys know what it means to pause? You hit the enter button and you're like, oh no. Keep it going. If it was ever thinking and you wanted it to stop thinking, there we go. You can always hit the on button. The on button breaks the code. Any computer people out there? Any programmers? Wannabe programmers? What's it mean if it breaks the code? Yeah, it tells it to stop. So sometimes you give the calculator something like some objective and it just keeps going and going. And have you guys ever had that? Like it keeps thinking and you're like, oh goodness, I should have done this differently. Hit the on button, it'll break the code. It'll basically stop it from whatever it's doing and you can then give it a new directive. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't think you have to worry about that really in the packet, but the on button helps by just stopping it. This one just pauses it and you restart it. You can hit second off. I think we did that yesterday and it just like kind of reset the whole thing. Okay, coming back. Zoom box. I like this one. Zoom box. I see the little tiny numbers. I'm like, okay, wait, max, min. You can always ask me, is there an actual answer to this problem? I mean, don't ask it out loud if it's a quiz. Just be like, yeah, there's an answer. Oh, stink. Okay, zoom box. I want you guys to think of like, I don't know, a picture editing type program or Microsoft Word. Does anyone even use Paint anymore? I doubt it. I want you to think click and drag, right? Zoom box, you click. Yours will go so much faster and nicer than my poor little program that lags. Click and drag. You can say, I want to see right here. It's a cool zoom because you're seeing the picture and you're telling it, I want to see right there without being able to actually like pinch and zoom like with a touch screen. So if you were to keep on doing this, such a struggle. Okay. You might be like, that told me nothing. Oh, it told you everything. It might not be as good of a picture as the one that you were able to cheat and steal. Well, you can't really cheat and steal on quizzes, or you shouldn't be. Integrity. Okay. But it makes all the difference because don't you see it going up and then down and then there's a max and a min. Maybe we can't see it. Maybe we should do the whole zoom boxy thing again. This is what if they didn't tell you the zoom, because I'm not going to tell you the zoom on the quiz to be in. And on calculator worksheet number 2 that you guys are going to get today, There's going to be some funny data, and if you have like weird little tiny decimals, Zoom Standard might not show you everything you need to see. So I could go ahead and keep going. Long story short, this was a homework problem. You guys were able to talk in your groups, and they gave you a good window. But if you kept doing Zoom box, you could have actually found the max and the min if that was the directive of what you were trying to do. What's the long story short? They all show you a basic cubic, but only one shows you the actual features of what's going on. Does that kind of make sense? Any questions about working with the zooms? Did they tell you to use Zoom Fit? Did Zoom Fit work? Does it always work? Does it sometimes work? The answer is definitely yes, and it's a great one to use. Isn't it Zoom 0? Is that Zoom Fit? I think it's Zoom 0. It keeps you from having to scroll all the time. Zoom Fit is good, it just doesn't always work. Quick warning. Okay, objective number 4, are we okay? Is anyone's calculator being weird? Okay. Let's go to number 5. This one technically, you kind of shifted between 4 and 5 because number 5 says let's start looking at the table. But aren't you guys still technically using y equals to put your function?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So we're still using y equals. That hasn't changed. And I don't think we're actually using that function. The function changed, or did it? 0.002x cubed. Oh, it is the same one, right? X squared? Okay. You're using the same function, which is kind of nice. And then it says, what is the value of y when x is 0.9? Pause. What is the point of the problem? Is the point that you're smart and you're like, I'm just going to plug it in by hand. Forget this calculator thing. That's not the point. The point is how can you use your calculator to do some of this math for you without you having to go to the home screen and type in all this stuff. You have this equation, the y equation, in your grapher. So how do you use, this one was how to use the table. How do you use the table to get 0.9? Well, that's easy. Just go to the table, second graph, right? And it's going to be somewhere in there, right? Did you guys notice this cool little plus sign? That you can make the table, instead of going by delta change in going by ones, you can go by point ones? Why is that nice? Ooh. Dun, 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 dun. Or, how could you have gotten to this answer specifically faster? Type in 0.9, I wish. No. Couldn't you change? Well, that's another option, but just from right here. Instead of going by point ones, couldn't I have gone by point nines? What's going to happen if I go by point nines? Ha! There it is, negative 0.0066. Do you have to be able to get the answer the quickest? No. The point is to get it right. But that is a nifty trick. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Like the whole screen only gives 3? Let's see. It's not horrible if it's 3. Actually, for my answers, I always let 3. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's good. That's good. You're okay. Good thing is in math, we don't have to worry about sig figs and stuff like that. And in calculus, like AP calculus, they always only want 3 decimals, so in pre-cal, that's what I do too. Unless the directions say otherwise. Jordan, go ahead.
I put my calculator at 0.9, but why is negative 0.0?
It's rounding to 3 decimal places. So the light up screens, or like the flat ones, it seems like they only give you 3 decimals. That's okay. I would take 3. Yeah. Thanks for checking though. But you guys are totally right. There were other ways to change this without using the plus sign. And if anybody has a yellow button, does anybody have a yellow second button? Oh, there's one. Anybody else? Okay. If you have the yellow second button, I don't think that plus sign actually works. And you would need to go to second window. And you can make that change here, what number to start with and what to go by, 0.1s or 1s or 5s or 10s. However, I saw some of you guys already in the really cool mode that says, you know what? If you had to plug in a lot of numbers, it might be a whole lot easier to tell the calculator, I'm in second window. Don't automatically generate. Ask me first. Don't automatically give me a table. Ask me first. That one's nice, because then you can put in whatever the heck you want. You can go from 0.9. Huh. Never happened before. That's interesting. Okay, to like 27, to like plugging in 113, and you don't have to scroll, which is really nice. So that's when you change from automatically generated to ask. If you ever need to get rid of those, just hit delete, delete, delete. If you don't have anything put into your Y1, it won't have a Y column, so it can't give you anything if you didn't give it an equation. Some people get confused by that too. Is it working okay? Okay. So those are all good ways. There's another cool way too, but I think we'll talk about it when we get to objective like 8 or 7 or something like that. Something's weird. There's a typo. Did anybody figure out the typo in the handbook? If not, I'm drawing your attention to this little baby paragraph. Maybe you can find the typo now. What's the typo in the handbook that we have to change? Yeah, PE to the positive 4. Come on, scientific notation-y people. Wouldn't that be a huge number? This is a very tiny number. This should be to what power? Negative. Good. Go ahead and make that change. It should be negative 8 times 10 to the power of, notation is E. It should be a negative 4. Should give an extra credit or something at the beginning. See if you guys had found it. But there we go. It should be a negative 4. Sorry about that typo. Objective number 6. Why did I cross out the word value on number 6? They're telling you how to use the second trace menu. We looked at it a little bit yesterday. Why do you think I crossed out the word value? Why should you have been totally stuck on number 6 if you had to answer that? What value? Yeah. Exactly. When it says value and you hit the value button, what should you have to put into it? What kind of value? You put in an X and you get out a Y. So, what X? Did you guys notice number 7, objective 7, was having you use the value button? So this was a little preemptive. They shouldn't have told you. They were like, oh, hey, learn how to do this, but no values yet. So instead, zeros, minimums, maximums, we already found the answers in honors if you guys want to double check that they're right. The zeros, written in a very sad order, should be negative 4, 0, 6 from left to right. Do you guys agree? As you notice, I'm putting 3 decimal places. That's why I was saying that's fine. And the minimum, maximum, we'll go more into detail, but we were just giving the ordered pair as the min, the max. Any questions as far as answering the left bound versus the right bound? Answering guess. We're hitting enter on those, right? And trying to like give the calculator places to look for these different features. Okay. Quick heads up. A lot of you used the calculator a lot last year, so you're good, you're going. But if you're stuck on your calculator, come during lunch or after school today. We'll talk about it, okay? It's totally fine. It's not a big deal if you're like, I'm not so good at this thing. That's fine. We'll catch you up. But you have to come to me or else all I'm seeing is, which is like, keep going. Okay, so I'm keeping going. Next objective, number 8. Here we go. This is using values. Could you have used the actual value thing that we saw yesterday in the calculator, hitting this and then just typing in? Yes. Can I show you something else though? If we were to put into our, don't remember what the function was. What's the function? Is it the same one? Sweet. Okay, so for this one, there we go. I have it in my, oh, I just cleared it out. Can you guys help me out? 0.002? X cubed, and it's 2 zeros, right? Okay, and then it's going to be minus x squared. Got it. Okay. You could have totally used your second trace in the value button. The struggle of this feature is it's only going to give it to you if it's in the window, and it has to graph first, and that sometimes can take a lot of time. Not that it's horrible. What's wrong? Did it change functions? I was looking really quickly. Oh, it did change functions. Struggle. Thank you. Okay, I looked back way too far. So 0.1 x cubed. Thank you. I want it to match up with your guys' answers. Minus 0.2 x squared minus 2.4 x. Thanks, guys, for that catch. That would have been a bummer. Okay, so if we were to use the second trace, you guys just saw me use the value button, and then it's like it has to graph, and then I have to type it in, and then hopefully it's on the window, which I suppose all of them are. Because we have, what, 4 and 2.1 and negative 0.5. Can I show you another cool trick real quick that might be nice at some point during the year? Everybody, whether you have a yellow button second or not, you can hit the vars button. Vars variables, yeah? Vars variables. You can go over to y vars, which is what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the y variable when x is. You can hit function. You can hit y1. Now some of you are like, this is so much longer. Hold on. Do you remember something called function notation f of x? Is it kind of cool if your calculator knows what f of x is? Nice. Wouldn't it be cooler if there was a shortcut for anybody whose calculator doesn't have the yellow second button, where you can hit alpha to access a whole hidden line of menus up here and hit trace and get a y1 super fast, and then plug in whatever you want? It's probably even faster than like copying and pasting from up above. Pretty nifty. There are other hidden things using the alpha button and using this whole top line, but this one's pretty snazzy in the sense that you can just plug it in super fast. Does it work on the graph? I suppose, but wouldn't it be nice to go faster? Double checking, I think that matches up, right? Cool. So do you have to use that feature? No. But is it nice sometimes to be like, hey, if I give you the equation, you'll plug in for me? Sweet. I think so. All right, then you guys are supposed to go up to number 8, and number 8, wherever he is, there he is, was just how to use the intersections. We only found one intersection. There are 3 of them. How do you get all 3 of the intersections? What did you have to do? Each one, and when it said guess, you had to go to that approximate location, right? Sorry, go ahead. Oh, perfect. You were just answering. Yeah, you have to go to each and every location along the way. So there should have been 3 different intersection points. Is this the right one for the first one? We did it quick in honors. What happened in between 8 and 9 in your handbook? Because you were supposed to go to 10 last night. Ugh. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and pass out to you guys calculator worksheet number 2. Here at the end of class, we're going to grade number 1, and tonight, if you got anything wrong, you're going to go back and be like, what did I do wrong? Was I not using the feature correctly? Trying to go back. Maybe we went over a couple things that might help you in the things that you didn't quite figure out last night. But calculator worksheet number 2, as you start looking at it, put your name on it also. 1, 2, 3. If you guys look on the backboard, this isn't due until Friday. So you have 2 days for this one, but there's a reason. He's not as fun as number 1. He's not as easy as number 1. If there's ever any extras when it gets to the back, just pass it straight back up. Sometimes they stick. I think that's enough. What do you guys see already about calculator worksheet number 2? Lists. Tables, whether they're horizontal, whether they're vertical. Lists. This is not being given a function. Maybe sometimes finding a function from a table. That's called a regression. But using the list feature. Did you guys figure out how to find the lists? Where do we go? Stat. Good. There is the list. You don't really want to go to second stat. Just stat. And then, oh, hey, the buttons are right there. Okay. Enter. And you can make your lists. A couple things can go wrong. These can randomly get deleted. I'm not going to go through that right now. If it happens to your calculator, just bring it to me. I'll help show you what to do. Don't go up here and start typing stuff or deleting stuff. You'll get in trouble. Stay here and then type in your data. A couple things are going to happen that might get you in trouble. If you're trying to graph a table, you need to turn these plots on. Now, they might have you graphing an equation at the same time, but otherwise, if you're just graphing the list, you can go up and just highlight, which is super snazzy. And you're saying graph the lists instead. And if there's nothing in the list, you try to hit graph, it's not going to be happy. So you have to have data in there to graph it. So if this is turned on, you can turn on more than one. I think for our purposes, unless you want to make each problem a different list plot, You're just going to have 1 turned on. People with the yellow second button, you can go to second y equals and turn on the plot, like actually turn it on manually. But anyway, you need to put that data in. But the problem is on calculator worksheet number 2, which one's list 1 and which one's list 2? For number 1, what do you guys think? Which one's going to be list 1, like the X's? The year? Good. The year is list 1, the population list 2. How about number 3? Which one's which? Which one's list 1? Time. Good. The list 2 is good. Come back to number 1. I'm going to help you guys out, because every year people make mistakes. For the year 1980, what do you think is the very first thing we're going to put in as list 1, object, or item 1? 1,980, because I want the graph to go way over there. No. What does the problem tell you to do for 1980? Make it a 0. 1980 is year 0. You guys have probably heard this like with statistical studies, like year 0 of something. 1980 is year 0. So what's the next time? Not year 1, because it's 5 years later. Does that make sense? 5. Oh, this is easy. 10, 15, 20, 25. No. It goes 5, and then 10, and then 15, and then what? 18. Does that make sense? Why? Because the next date is 1998, 18 years later. Do you see how you might make a few mistakes on number 1, just putting the data in? Okay. There's also a really cool Zoom called Zoom Stat. That might be, I think it's down. Zoom Stat says, hey, I'll show you the window of whatever statistical data you give me. So there are a few things that the handbook is going to help you in putting this stuff into your calculator and doing stuff with it. That's what you're going to try to do tonight. You're going to do the handbook numbers 11 through, can I borrow really quickly? Not through 20. 11 through, where's the stat stuff end? Some of you might be doing 9 and 10 also. It's actually really just through number 12. So get your handbook done up through number 12. So some of you 9 and 10, 11, the list. But then I want you to start calculator worksheet number 2 because he's long. I give you 2 days on purpose. Okay? Start calculator worksheet number 2 and we can see how that one went. Let's go ahead and check answers to calculator worksheet number 1. Those colored pens, we're going to go fast. If I can get it. Here we go. Let me full screen it. Depending on the day, sometimes I'll take answers from you guys, but since we're going kind of quickly, let me just go ahead and write them up. All right, so color pens out. If you're using a pencil, you're cheating. If you're using a pencil, just put it down. The answers are in the video. You can try it and then grade it later. Don't lose your integrity. Number 1, letter A, should be y equals, the value is the y value, y equals negative 7.568. Number 2, x equals 15.204. 2a, x equals 3.336. Letter B is a point, so 5.042, negative 2.388. Sorry, guys, to my left. The zeros are 5.074 and 926. Y equals negative 53. When they say value, they mean y value. And the bottom one, even though it's only an A, sorry, that was awkward. There are 2 intersection points, 5.353, 1.534, and 6.564. Who got a snap? 1.888. Hopefully my sound's off. If it's me, I apologize. All right, cool kids. If you need to, take a picture of it on the way out the door if you didn't get to write it down. It's on the video as well if you need to check it. Fix mistakes on 1, try 2, come tomorrow with questions. Bye, everybody. If you're stuck on your calculator, come on in. I'll help you out.